how the variable rates are being calculated. Now, the difference between the two is that the variable rates, they fluctuate between the time of your term. Your fixed rates, it's the same interest rate for the remainder of your term. Just for an example, if you had a fixed rate mortgage and your balance is $755,189 at a rate of 2.19% over 25 years, your monthly payments are $3,268. If you went with a variable rate with the same balance at a rate of 1.35% over 25 years, you're looking at a monthly payment about $2,966. So you definitely see the difference in between the two interest rates and your rate that you're selected. Going back to maybe in the early 2000s, we're seeing rates about 8%. So based off of that alone, the rates are extremely low and they're still at an all-time low right now. As I mentioned, the fixed rates are approximately 2.19% and your variable rate for 1.35%.
So as Shakima mentioned, the rates are still at an all-time low. So this now is a great time to get pre-approved, to see what you can qualify for and to jump into the market and take advantage of these great rates. On the other hand, now we ask ourselves, well, what if I don't qualify? So if you feel like if you come to that situation where you don't qualify enough for the purchase price that you're looking for, or maybe you don't qualify in this moment because of one of the factors, maybe like your credit or your income isn't enough, here are some options for you so that you can get on that path of getting into the real estate market. So with your income, if you don't have enough income to get to the purchase price that you're looking for, a few ways to increase your income is to partner with a family member or a friend. By combining the two incomes, you're able to increase your purchasing amount. Other sources of income that we can use to help qualify you and boost your income is the child tax benefit, pension plans. We can use rental income, investment income, as well as spousal or child support. For your down payment, if you don't have enough right now saved up for your down payment, other options you can look at are gifted down payments, which can come from a family member that we can use to put down as your down payment amount. There's also government programs, which Nicole did mention earlier. For example, the first-time homebuyer incentive, where the government will give you 5% on a resale home to help increase your down payment and up to 10% on a new construction home. So this is a great way to lower your mortgage amount and help bring down your monthly charges. Another option is the home buyer plan, which allows you to use up to $35,000 from your RSPs to use towards your down payment. And if you are married, you and your spouse can both use up to $35,000 for a total of $70,000. So these are some great options to help add on to the savings that you've already come up with to increase your down payment. Another option is with your credit. If your credit is low or needs a little help on the come up, a couple of things you can do to increase your credit score is make on-time payments, keep your utilization of your cards to a minimum, as well as try and pay off your loans quicker or pay them off completely. These are some great tips on how to boost your credit, which will in turn allow you to get the better interest rates on your mortgage, which will save you in the long run, money that will help you put it back in your pocket or use for other investments like buying more houses. So at this point, we have come to the open question answers portion of our meeting. So we will open up the floor for those of you who may have questions, and we can definitely answer.
We got a question in the chat, and then I see somebody has their hand up, so then we'll let them go. So we were asked to discuss the difference between variable versus fixed and why one would be more favorable over the other. So do either of you ladies want to answer?
Sure. So essentially the difference between variable and fixed. So like Shakima mentioned earlier, with a fixed rate, it doesn't change throughout the term of your mortgage. So for example, you choose a 5-year term, your interest rate will remain the same throughout that term, and you'll know what to expect on your monthly payments, how much is going towards your principal, how much is going towards your interest. So it's great if you want to be in a stable position, you know that your monthly amount, everything's good, it's not going to change. It's an easier method and choice to use in that sense. With a variable rate, there is a chance that throughout the term of your mortgage, it can go up and down depending on the prime rate of Canada, if they increase it or decrease it. So with a variable rate, it can fluctuate, but what lenders do is they do offer a lower rate with the variable rate or a discount for that reason, because it could potentially change. So the benefit for both of them, again, with the fixed, you have that stability, you know what to expect, you can relax, be comfortable. With the variable rate, it does allow you to pay less on the interest upfront, which in turn can help you save a little bit more in the long run. If the rates don't fluctuate in that 5-year period that you have your mortgage, you can save a little bit because the rates are lower. Thank you for that question, by the way.
Okay, so Kadian, did you want to unmute and ask the question?
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted clarity around when you say other sources of income, so pension, for example, do you mean that while you're going through the application process, you would just state the amount of your pension that you have, and you would take that into consideration, and not for the individual to withdraw from their pension?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
Good question. No, so good question. So when we talk about pension income, we're talking about somebody who is a pensioner. And we have a lot of clients just based on the economy that we live in. And it's just where we are in society. There's a lot of people who are working past the age of retirement, but they are of pension age, meaning I work with many people who are actively working a full-time job, but are collecting pension income as well while they're actively working. So in that case, we would include not only whatever they have as their earned income, we can also include their pension income, whether that came from a former employer or they're getting like old age security or Canada Pension Plan. All of those incomes would qualify and be utilized within the income. So we mean pension income that you're receiving, not necessarily a pension that you have that you're saving for future use, which is what I think it sounded like you were asking.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we have another question. What is a gifted down payment, and do they need proof of the funds? So Shakima, did you want to answer that?
Gifted down payment is, as Keisha mentioned, is everything that was gifted for you. So in a scenario where, let's say, your parents have some savings, they wanted to give it to you to qualify for a mortgage, they'll obviously just provide that amount to you. We do require proof of down payment, not necessarily from the source of that payment, but we do need something in writing stating that that amount was gifted to you.
Yeah, so to elaborate a little bit, so exactly what Shakima is saying, a gifted down payment, for most lenders, it has to come from an immediate family source, right? So mother, father, brother, sister, those types of relations typically are who lenders are looking for when it comes to a gifted down payment. But what you're finding in today's world, because of how competitive the market is, there are a lot of families who are pulling equity from their existing home in order to help build up a down payment for their children and or for their other family member. Even if the intention is for that family member to turn around and, help out somebody else in the family in the future, the mere fact that a family member may have the ability to do this or even come up with $5,000 or $10,000, that is funds that you can use towards your down payment. It will have to be reflected on a gift letter stating that it isn't a loan. The intention is that it is going to be utilized as a gift. So it doesn't even matter if your parents are taking a loan to get those funds. The bank doesn't worry about that as long as it's not a loan to you. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, so how long does it normally take to get a pre-approval?
So in terms of a pre-approval, so essentially, once we are able to gather the documents that we need to submit to the lender, in this busy season, turnaround time could be about 48 hours to get the pre-approval letter from the lender. But essentially it comes down to how soon are we able to receive the documentation from you. So from this point of contact and when we first have our first mortgage discussion with you, if you're able to get the documents in quickly within a week, then we can again turn around that time on our end with the lender within a few days. But essentially, before you come to the pre-approval part, just gathering things like your T4s or your NOAs, those are some easy ways to get yourself ready for preparing to get into the market and preparing to speak with a mortgage agent so that we can ensure that we have everything we need to submit to have a smooth, transition to getting the pre-approval. Great question.
Okay, so someone is asking for us to explain rent to own. Okay, so I know I mentioned that the federal government, as a part of one of their election promises, mentioned that they're coming out with their own rent to own program. That is still yet to be seen, so I don't have any comment specifically on that. But as a general rule of thumb, rent to own typically is where you have an existing owner of a property and they are selling you the property based on today's market value, but they know that you're not necessarily in the position to purchase the home right now. So what you're doing is you go into contract with them now and you rent the home. You give them typically the deposit minimum that they require. And in some cases that might be $30,000, $40,000, especially in today's market. So that is where this current owner gets some security, is that they're getting perhaps this $40,000 from you upfront. You guys negotiate a sales price as of today's market. And now you become a tenant of the owner for whatever time frame you guys initially went into contract for. So if that was a 2-year period, you would be a tenant for 2 years with the goal of buying the property at the end of that 2-year time frame. The thing with rent to owns is most rent to owns will allow you to give the deposit, and then every month on top of your rent, you're supposed to also pay additional funds towards your deposit. Meaning if market rent is $2,000, you might be paying a rent to own monthly payment of $2,500. $2,000 is going to rent. The additional $500 is being used towards savings, in addition to whatever you would have given to the person at the time of you signing off on the contract. The thing about rent to own that make them very tricky, and in all of my years of experience, I have not seen one single successful rent to own come to fruition. It's not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I personally have not seen it. The thing is, all lenders offer lending on rent to own, but you have to have your, sorry, I don't know who's giving feedback, but if you guys can just mute, sorry about that. All rent to own, sorry, if you are not holding the deposit in a lawyer's trust alongside the monthly deposits of rent being made out to the lawyer's trust, and then funds being distributed from the lawyer's trust to the owner, lenders do not accept those funds. And what happens is 9 out of 10 times, I have not personally ever seen one that was ever set up correctly. And as a result, people would be in the rent to own for the 2 years. After the 2 years, they're not in a position to buy out the home. Right there, they lost their deposit and they lost all the money that they were giving, because at that point you were just in a rental contract. Right, so it's the rent to own, the premise of it is a really good premise. It's just that it's not really a regulated per se environment, and I think this is why the government is saying that they're going to come out with their own program. And if you do not know the rules of you having as far as your exit strategy, and your exit strategy is how do I insure this property, and you don't meet with actual professionals and you try to do it on your own, I can see why a lot of people unfortunately get duped. right? So that's just my personal take on rent to owns. So I guess we'll have to see what the government says, and hopefully their program will be a good one. Someone asked, so we have, as an existing homeowner, when purchasing a second property, will the down payment need to be 20%, or are there other ways to pay less? Does anyone want to answer this, or should I answer this?
I can go ahead.
Yeah. Okay,
So
good.
typically when you are purchasing an investment property, you are required to put the 20% down. Only if it is an owner occupied property, you're required the minimum down payment of the 5%. Obviously, we would have to see what the situation is and go over a consult to see if there's any things that we can do in regards to what your goals are.
Perfect. Were there any other questions? So how long do you have to wait before pulling equity from your property if you put 20% down?
Okay, so I can answer that. So essentially, if you put down 20% down on your property, usually lenders will look for about a year where you can then, refinance your mortgage to take out that equity and use it for whatever your purpose may be, whether it's renovations or to invest in another business venture. But from the time of purchase, usually they look for about a year for you to be in that property or to have that property before you can refinance it and take out the equity.
Luis, how you doing?
Hi there.
So
Hi.
I was driving earlier, so I didn't want to.
So let's pause, everybody. Let's welcome JR. He's a fantastic realtor out in the Durham region. So we want to thank you for joining us, JR.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me, and just awesome to see you ladies doing an excellent job. So question for you, as a realtor, obviously I gotta, filter them over to you guys to do your job before I can even do mine. What would you like from a realtor when it comes to screening somebody? Like, is there anything you want us to do, or just send them your way, or does it help to try to screen them before sending them to you?
Okay, so thank you so much for asking that question. And the thing is, I would say you kind of have to, like, you yourself are going to kind of know your client in the sense of, if you've already started to try to build some rapport, you kind of know where they may be. And I like when realtors are just very upfront with me in the sense of saying, okay, Nick, I know this person isn't ready now, but I think we can really help them. Can you just work with them, right? So I know I'm getting somebody who they, based on just knowing in their head, if they're making only $30,000, they don't have a lot in savings, they have maybe some credit issues that they've mentioned to you, within your heart that they're not going to qualify, right? But you want to be putting them and setting them up for success. And we often do these things, right? All the time. So it's just a matter of, if you identified that already, let us know. We will definitely still take your client and treat them with great care. That is how I built the majority of my business. It was always being that person saying, hey guys, you're not ready right now. Let's help you get ready, right? And we have Keisha, Shakima, and the whole team at CTMS who are of the same mindset, right? So if the client isn't currently ready, we help to motivate you, get you ready, show you where you are today. So we kind of run through the numbers to say, okay, well, this is where you stand today. This is what you're going to need. And then we try to give you some solutions to think of how to make things work within the shortest possible timeline, but we are also very realistic. I have told people sometimes it's going to probably take you 2 years before you get in, but if you are dedicated and you want to do it, you can do it. Just do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I literally listed out and helped them out. We put a plan around them. And my whole thing is, I have a proven system. Like I am telling you, and not to toot my own horn, it works. The issue for a lot of people is, there's no judgment. So when I'm working with people, it's literally zero judgment, right? To me, it's irrelevant how you do it. It's just a matter of making sure that you do it with, ethics, and we get it done, right? And I'm a firm believer, anything that you want in this world, you can make happen, right? So if you have a plan, you have a dedicated team around you who's helping you, even if the client isn't ready, we'll help them to get ready. On the flip side, if we know that the client is ready and we know what their goal is, it's okay, how can we help them get ready and achieve their goal to the best of our abilities, and to make it make sense for the client and where they need to be. So an example, you have a client, they have an existing home, they want to pull out their equity and buy an investment property. Back to that scenario that you had put into the chat, that becomes a matter of us looking at the numbers. Okay, if we did this is what the scenario would look like if you did A, B, and C. If you want to do this other scenario, this is what it's going to have to look like. We believe in giving people options. It's never for us to dictate what a client does, but we'll try to give you high level options. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it does, it does, right? But at the end of the day, we know that we're trying to help set people up for success, no matter what it is that they do. But it always has to be in line specifically to what their goal is, right? Because we want to make sure that we are helping people achieve their goals rather than just, it's not transactional, right? I never built my career on anything being transactional. And that's not what this brokerage is about, right? So to me, JR, if you know what the client wants, just be honest, say this is what it is. This is what they're looking for. If you don't know, then we'll help you go through the discovery process with them. And then it's our goal to keep you in the loop as to what's happening. So once we connect with the client, hey, we've connected with them. Okay, the appointment's booked. This is what it's looking like. Okay, the client isn't ready. We'll put them on a game plan. And then now it's up to us to just keep them motivated, keep checking in, seeing what's happening. But if they don't want to put in the work, then it's not us. We can't force you to drink, we can bring you there, but we can't force you to drink. And then if it's a matter of just helping people bang out their goals because they're ready, then we help you bang out those goals.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Thank you so much. My principle with clients is all about long-term. So I gear them up for that. If they're not ready now, our goal is to help them to get ready within the next 6, 12, or 24 months. So being able to connect with you guys, working as a team that, stand on the same principles, allows it to be a seamless process. So it'll be great. Sounds good.
Perfect. So we have a question, is there a fee for this? So at the end of the day, we are in the business of servicing people, right? So as a part of our service, we want to ensure that, just as we say, we believe in real estate. Real estate is a way to help people build wealth. So the long answer is no, there is no fee. That's a part of what we do. It's a part of what we give. But again, we're not making it to the point where we're giving plans and we're going to be outworking the individual, right? So you have a team in place as long as you're willing to put in the work. But if you're not willing to put in the work, then that's on you, right? And then at the end of the day, we get paid when we close the mortgage. So then obviously at that point, there would be a fee per se when the mortgage gets closed. So we have a question about what documents should be ready when you are bringing to a broker for a pre-approval. So I'll get one of the ladies to answer this.
Okay, I can answer that as well. So we always stress income. I mean, that's one of the most important things that we require upfront. We need to obviously see how much you're making and in order to see what you would qualify for. Income is one of the biggest, the most important information that we require before submitting an approval. So if you're working, your job letter, your pay stubs, if you're self-employed, we need your documents that you're getting, your T1 generals and stuff like that. But we'll always tell you once we do a consult. So the first step to doing a pre-approval is reaching out to one of us. We'll go over exactly what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. And at that point, before we send over the application to you, we're also letting you know what you need to send in once you fill out and complete the application.
So if they wanted to purchase a property through a business, but in a partnership with a family member, non-business, put down 20%, or could I put down less?
Sorry, Nicole, could you just read the question again, please?
Okay, so if I wanted to purchase a property through a business, but in partnership with a family member, I guess in brackets, non-business, would I still need to put down 20% or could I put down less? So I guess the question is really asking is if they're buying it in a business name, are they able to put down less than 20%?
So with the business, if it's the business that you have that's like a sole proprietorship, at that point, it's kind of your income. So essentially, if you meet the qualifications of the income to go on the A side, which would allow you to put down 5% if you're first 5% plus 10% up after the 500,000. If you're a first-time home buyer, then that is possible. You would not have to put down 20% at that point. If you can show that you've had the business for 2 years, you filed your taxes for the business for 2 years, you have your T1s in place, and you're able to prove your income, you know, your credit score is good, where you're able to show, you know, that you're making your on-time payments, things like that. And then again, if you have the down payment, then you could potentially qualify to put down less than 20%. And as well, if you're partnering with somebody else and their income and everything, their credit matches that as well, you know, then you guys fall on the A side, which allows you to put down less than 20%. On the other hand, if your credentials don't match up to that, you could still purchase the home. At that point, you would have to put down 20% with the home, or for the home, sorry. If your, you know, credit maybe is not 100% there, but you have enough down payment, you can put down 20% as well for that. But typically, again, if you meet the credentials, you can prove your income, you can show that you have the down payment, your credit is good, then even though you are a registered business, you could put down less than 20%.
Okay, perfect. So just to clarify, so Keisha was answering as if you're self-employed, right? So how do you qualify for a mortgage when you're self-employed? I think the question was more so asking if you're buying the property in the name of the business. And if that is the actual question, I don't know if that was the question. You can probably clarify if you want to drop it in the chat. But if that was the question, then technically it is an investment property because you are buying it as an investment because it's simply being bought through the business name. And as a result, you would have to put down 20%, possibly more, dependent on the structure and the property. Okay. So I don't know which one you were asking, but so Keisha was more so answering based on the fact of, you know, qualifying as a person who is in business. And this is more if you're purchasing the property directly in the business name. Okay. And
so it was the latter. So you responded to it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. There is another question. What is the ideal credit score for a mortgage? A1 lender. So this is somebody who wants top shelf. What would be the ideal credit score?
So I can answer that one. So ideally, you know, to fall into the A lending, they typically will look for a score of 680 or more. You can get better rates if your score is above 720, but essentially 680 is the average credit score that they look for to consider it as good income, good credit, sorry.
Perfect. Okay, guys, I'm so thankful. You know, I think we had a lot of great questions. I don't know if there's any other questions, anything that you guys want us to talk about that we perhaps didn't speak on, or any topics that maybe we kind of glared over too quickly that you want us to kind of refocus. Definitely thank you for your participation. As I said, this is something that CTMS is going to be doing moving forward. Look out for our fall mortgage checkup, and it's going to be very similar. We want to keep people abreast as to what's happening in the market, keep people motivated. We are also welcoming each and every one of you to book a free mortgage consultation. I'm going to get these ladies to drop their calendars into the chat box. And with your permission, we're going to then, you know, as a wrap up, obviously everyone got the emails to be here, But as a wrap up, we will also send an email where we'll also drop the calendar links. We are strongly recommending everyone to book in an appointment with us. The reason for this is you never know where you are until you figure out where you are, right? Like, and it sounds very cliche, it might sound crazy, but if you are a dreamer and if you are a person that believes that you deserve it all, and I know that you are because you are here, and I only attract the best, right? So as a result of you being here, I know that you guys are destined for amazing things, right? But as a part of being destiny builders, we must have a plan. And if you aren't already working with a team, CTMS is here, willing and able. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Keisha. It doesn't have to be Shakima. We have a wonderful group of people. I don't know if anyone from the team that's also here wants to kind of just give a quick hello, introduce themselves. Because again, this is a team effort. No, everybody else is playing shy from the team. I see you guys, but I'm not gonna pull anybody out. But yeah, so as I said, we are just saying, if you are free, available, able, book an appointment.
Just to add, thank you guys again for coming through. You know, I see a lot of familiar faces and I appreciate the support. We are definitely here to serve you guys, and any questions you guys may have, again, you can just shoot us a message. You can book some time in. We are more than happy to help you guys. We want to see you guys achieve your goals of getting into the real estate market and building generational wealth. So we're here to support you. We're here to support our community overall. You know, Toronto, GTA, all around Ontario. There's no limits too far, no boundaries too far. You know, we can do it, and we are here to help you guys. So thanks again.
Okay, perfect. I think we have one last, I see a question that's come through. Adebawo, sorry, if I mispronounce, please tell me how to correctly say your name.
Bio, it's Adebayo.
Adebayo, okay.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, apparently I think your session is for the people in Ontario. Apparently I just recently moved here, but I just moved to Winnipeg just 2 months ago.
Okay.
I'm trying to see how I can break into the property market. That was why I just registered for the session, but apparently I don't know how it works, but
Okay.
it was quite informative, and I think it is based on what the speakers and realtor has said. I think it's not far-fetched what is expected of us to get into the property market, but maybe in the not too distant future, we eventually get to move to Ontario and we leave Winnipeg. We might consider joining your firm. Thank you.
Yes. Well, Adebayo, thank you so much for your comments, but I do want to let you know that CTMS, we are equipped to actually do mortgages across the country. So do not count us out. If you're in Saskatchewan, my brother, we will be there with you. We can figure it out. Connect with one of
Winnipeg.
us. Oh, sorry, Winnipeg. You did say Winnipeg. So we do. So as I said, if this is something that's of interest to you and your family, book in the calendars of one of the ladies. We do have options for you in Winnipeg as well.
All right, you're spot on.
Okay. Okay, perfect. We have a question, I believe Andre, and then there's one in the chat. So Andre, thank you for joining us.
Hello?
Hi there.
Oh yeah, good night, good night.
Good night.
My question is, do you guys have any relation with any home inspectors, contractors, and or cash buyers?
We do. Is
Yeah,
that something that you're in the industry?
Yeah, I'm currently doing active income, because I think what you guys are discussing was what buy and hold. So that's what, long term passive income. I'm currently doing active income wholesaling deals, and I'm looking for my first deal. That's what I was asking about, cash buyers as well as home inspectors.
So let me be clear, Andre. So what you are looking for, you're like you're doing wholesaling is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like assignment sales?
Yeah, like assignment and double close.
Yeah, yeah. So we get those so often, like we see those things, and obviously, we have a database of realtors that we deal with, and sometimes clients get into projects that they can't finish and whatever. So yeah, if you want to connect with us, as I said, you can book in the calendar, we can talk about, or even give us a call at the office. I'll get one of the ladies, you can drop down the office phone number, and then come out, make an introduction.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Not a problem. I like Andre, he's shooting his shot.
Yeah, I know what I want,
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So we have in the chat, can you share any common challenges with the lenders in today's market and climate? Does anyone want to share their experiences? Any of you two ladies?
So I'll share some that I've experienced recently. So I find one specific one that comes to mind is sometimes when it comes to certain lenders, they can be very specific, and I don't want to say nitpicky, but they really dive deep into the details of the client's documentation. And that can create a lot of back and forth with the client. And, sometimes clients may feel frustrated or feel like, how come they're asking for so much information? Like, I've already provided this. So that's kind of one of the common things that I've kind of come across, is that people don't realize like how deep lenders will go sometimes in terms of documentation, especially if you are a first-time home buyer. It can be a little bit overwhelming, the process and what's required. And, it might require you, to go back 2 years to pull up, your T4s or your notice of assessments, things like that. So that's kind of one of the main ones that I've experienced so far, is the documentation, and clients maybe not realizing, how much it will be up front. So that's something I've experienced, because nowadays, especially with COVID and last year with everything that happened, people were losing their jobs, and a lot was happening. So lenders kind of tightened a little bit more their restrictions, and really wanting to verify that, do you actually work where you work? Like they will even call the employers just to make sure you work with them, even though you've provided a job letter. So they become a little bit more diving deeper into the documentation as a result of things like COVID. And then that can become a challenge to, the client's end, in terms of being a little bit frustrated or overwhelmed with what we may be requiring from them.
Yeah, I'll also touch on that as well too. I agree with you, Keisha. I think given the times, a lot of lenders, their risk appetite is a little bit less, given the stress test that's currently in effect. They are a little bit more careful as far as who they're lending to, how they're lending, how much they're lending, just to make sure that there's no defaults, right? So they are literally dotting their I's and crossing their T's, and it may take a little bit longer for approval as far as getting the documents over to them. They may ask for a little bit more documentation, but just be patient. Again, if you're trusting us to handle the process for you, we are going to steer you in the right direction. And sometimes you just need to have some more documentation, but we'll always guarantee that we'll bring you to the finish line.
And just to add as well, to recommend my recommendations and how I operate my business is, when I do have the mortgage consult with my clients, and we decide that we want to move on to the pre-approval process, I usually will send a list of all the documents that are required upfront to give you that time to prepare to get what you need. Even if you're not moving on to the pre-approval stage, I still like to give you a list of, this is what we'll require when the time comes. That way you feel comfortable, you're able to move at your pace. Sometimes we know the employers may take a little time to give the job letters. So I usually would like to give my information, the documentation up front, just so that you have time to prepare and you're not kind of caught off guard or anything, because we have an idea of what the lenders are requiring at this point. So we will always ensure that we have everything before we get into the approval stage. That way, it's a smooth and easy process for you.
Perfect. I will close on saying lenders want to do business. Okay. So don't ever get it in your head that transactions aren't happening. Throughout all of COVID, what I realized, if anything, that I didn't like, even though I've read it before, I've seen it before, money is energy, money moves. So even though a certain segment of people might have been impacted by COVID, there was another full segment that were becoming millionaires and billionaires through COVID. What we need to remind ourselves is that we are not exempt from the possibilities of these things also happening for us. It all starts with a plan. So if you haven't owned real estate before, but have thought about it, book an appointment. If you have an existing home, considering, I might want to take out equity to put my feet in as an investor, book an appointment. If you have an existing home, you're feeling straddled with debt, you don't know what to do, you're hand over fist and, figuring things out. Sometimes you need a reset, and that's okay. Book an appointment. We can help you with that. If you have an existing investment portfolio, but now are stuck, this happens to a lot of my investors. They get to a point where they can do things, but now they're trying to get to the big dogs category, right? You have a couple of investment properties under your belt, but the more you get, the more creative that you have to be. The more you have to have people that have access to lenders. The more you have to have people that can make a call and make things happen. That is Team CTMS. If that is where you want to be, you're in the right spot. Give us a call, book an appointment. Again, listen out for our winter event. We are trying to keep you motivated, keep you encouraged, but at the end of the day, you will get out of this life what you put out, and it starts with the energy. So the fact that you are here is saying a lot. It's now the next step is up to you, okay? Thank you guys again for coming out.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, we are taking on new agents. People, we are accepting new agents. But again, the energy has to be mutual, right? We take on people that exude the brilliance of CTMS. So yes, we are always looking for new people, and we're rocking with high caliber. So that's what it's about. So if you want to rock with the best, you know where we are. Anyways, wonderful night, guys. You know me, I'll keep on chatting your ears off, but you know how to connect with me. And until next time, have a wonderful night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Night.
Bye.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi. Hi, guys. You guys had a good night. You guys enjoyed it?
Yeah, Tafari, enjoy it. We're driving, so we're trying to listen to as much as we could.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
I like this.
Okay, we'll have our separate talk because I know you guys are doing big things. Investors, winning. Let them know, say, shoot a zill to the world.
So first, I'll call you after and ask you some questions.
Yeah. You guys call me later, okay? Talk to you.
All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Okay, good night, guys. I'm logging off now.